Jesus said, "Man cannot live on bread alone, but from every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." You're listening to Daily Truth.
Even when the unbeliever does something righteous in moral terms, according to God's law, it does not, in the ultimate sense, the truest sense, the eternal sense, please the Lord if it is done apart from faith. If an atheist cures cancer, it is not pleasing to the Lord. When the agnostic helps an old lady cross the street, it does not, in the truest ultimate sense, please the Lord. Without faith, it is impossible to please Him. Without faith, everything ultimately proceeds from sin. So what is it to do something in faith? The definition that I've used, I'm sure someone else has said something similar. If they haven't, then I would be probably concerned. So I'm not saying that no one said anything like this before, but as far as I know, I coined this specific language and wording. But the definition I've used for about 6 or 7 years now is as follows. To live by faith, or to do anything in faith, is to be governed by a dependence on God's grace and a desire for God's glory. What is it to do something in faith? To do something without faith doesn't please the Lord. Anything not done in faith is sin. Without faith, it is impossible to please Him. So how do I do something in faith? If I'm going to cure cancer, how do I cure cancer in faith? If I'm going to help the elderly woman cross the street, how do I help her cross the street in faith? How do I keep my marriage vows in faith? How do I exude generosity in faith? How do I do my work as unto the Lord in faith? I think that the best way that we could define what it is to do something in faith is to say that to do it in faith is to rely on God's grace with a desire for God's glory. Because what the atheist will never do, what the pagan will never do, is acknowledge his dependence on the grace of God and live his life for the purpose of glorifying God. At best, the unbeliever will be able to say, we cured cancer because of the team. Right? What is a famous movie star, athlete? What is the acceptable, virtuous answer that they give every time they're interviewed? How'd you pull it off? How'd you win the game? How did you succeed? Right? Well, the answer you're supposed to give is, couldn't have done it without the team, right? Right? Because we all know, even the unbeliever knows that it's just reeks with arrogance if I say, I pulled it off because I spent the last 40 years working towards this moment, practicing, and I'm the greatest of all time. That's how I pulled it off. Right? I'm sure LeBron would say that because he is an arrogant fool. But it's not what you should say. Right? You've got to give someone else a little bit of credit. And what the unbeliever does is he credits humanity. So that if cancer was cured by an unbeliever, it would be by the power of humanity and for the good of humanity, we did this thing. Right? One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. For Christ and His kingdom, and for mankind. Meaning that the best and most virtuous motives, incentives for an unbeliever is that I relied on others and I did this for others. But relying on the strength of others and doing something with a desire for the benefit of others is sin when the standard is relying on God and doing it for God's glory. And to have an absence of that motive, the motive of bringing glory to God, and to have an absence of that acknowledgement and humility, the understanding of your reliance on the grace of God, is to have an absence of faith and it is unpleasing to God.
Wait. Hold it. Big announcement, a scary announcement, a threat, but also a promise. The price of our conference, the Postmillennial and Theonomy conference, it's going up. It's going up right after Reformation Day. We are going to hold the price at $100, which is super cheap for a 3-day conference with Dr. James White, Dr. Joseph Boot, Dr. Gary DeMar, and the guy who's not a doctor, so we'll say Pastor Joel Webbon. We've got a great conference, May 5th, 6th, and 7th in Georgetown, Texas, just north of Austin for $100. Super cheap, but we can't hold that price forever. So if you want to get into that price, you got to get in now, right after Reformation Day, not Halloween. Reformation Day, October 31st. That's the last day that you can get in this conference, register at the price of $100. After that, starting November 1st, it's going to be $130. So go to rightresponseconference.com, rightresponseconference.com, and register today. Thanks.